Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are digging into a story of some serious high-stakes diplomacy, a whole lot of international pressure, and one single baffling number that has sent shockwaves all the way across Asia. In its recent union budget, India allocated exactly this much, zero, to one of its most important overseas projects, the Chabahar port in Iran. That's right, a big, fat zero for a project that was once called a cornerstone of India's entire foreign policy. You can bet this move sparked a huge geopolitical mystery, setting off alarms everywhere from Tehran to Washington. So let's play detective here. We're going to dive into the clues and try to figure out what is really going on with this critical gateway to Central Asia. Okay, so our first clue comes straight from Indian officials, and they're offering a very straightforward, almost, deceptively simple explanation for that $0 figure. So, according to them, this isn't some big retreat. No, it's simply a case of mission accomplished, at least on the financial front. Their argument is that India has paid its dues, specifically the $120 million it promised to equip and develop the port terminal. Case closed, right? Well, here's where it gets really interesting. Just look at this timeline. For years, the funding was all over the place. But then, notice the dramatic acceleration in payments. India suddenly shelled out about $48 million in one fiscal year, and then another $48 million right after. This sudden rush to get the payments done right after signing a brand new 10-year agreement suggests a very deliberate push to, close the books. But that nice, clean financial story, it's got a pretty big shadow hanging over it. And that brings us to our second and much more complicated clue: intense, unavoidable pressure from the United States. And this isn't just, some diplomatic background noise. These are specific, high-stakes economic threats. That long-standing sanctions waiver that protected Chabahar, gone. India is now on a very short leash with a 6-month exemption that's just about to run out. And on top of all that, there's a new tariff threat hanging over its head. This completely changes the game. So here's the bottom line. India is stuck between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, Chabahar is its golden ticket to Afghanistan and Central Asia. It's a way to bypass its rival, Pakistan, and really assert its independence on the world stage. But on the other hand, angering the U.S. could unleash some crippling sanctions and seriously damage a vital strategic partnership. Now, to really figure out if this is just about Chabahar, we need to zoom out. Our next clue is actually hiding in plain sight, inside India's entire foreign aid budget. And let me tell you, it reveals a much bigger picture of strategic recalculation. See, this isn't just about one project getting its funding cut. It's about India reprioritizing its relationships across the entire neighborhood. This Chabahar move is happening alongside some other major shifts in how India is spending its money, and a couple of these are really, really telling. First, take a look at Bangladesh. The aid was slashed by a full 50%. A dramatic cut like that doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It's a direct reflection of some of the current political strains in the relationship between New Delhi and Dhaka. But then, in sharp contrast, aid to Afghanistan jumped by 50%. This signals a much deeper, more pragmatic engagement with the Taliban administration. And here's the kicker. This is a huge piece of our puzzle, because Chabahar port is the main route for India to send that very same humanitarian aid to the Afghan people. So let's put it all together. Let's connect the clues. We've got the official mission accomplished story, we have immense pressure from American sanctions, and we have a foreign policy budget that's clearly shifting its priorities. So what does that $0 budget really mean? To solve this mystery, you really have to understand this core concept, strategic autonomy. What does that actually mean? Well, it's the idea that India can and should make decisions based on its own national interests without being tied to any single superpower. It's about calling your own shots. And this principle is right at the heart of the Chabahar decision. So the verdict isn't an either-or, it's both. This isn't a full-blown exit from the project. It's actually a pretty brilliant strategic pause. India cleverly used the end of its financial commitment as the perfect face-saving excuse to just take a step back and assess the situation as U.S. sanctions are looming. It really is a masterclass in middle-path diplomacy, honoring a deal with Iran while cautiously, very cautiously, acknowledging the reality of American economic power. And all of this leaves us with a final, pretty provocative thought about India's high-stakes geopolitical tightrope walk. By pausing now, India keeps its options open and protects its strategic autonomy. But it also risks losing crucial momentum on a project that was supposed to secure its influence for decades. So the real question is this pause just a temporary detour or a permanent end of the road?